Hello everyone, my name is Pooja Subhash Rao Deshmukh from International Center of Excellence in Engineering and Management College, Aurangabad. Welcome back to my channel Smart Engineer. Today we will discuss on the remaining topics of the chapter of wireless data services, that will be the UMTS, IMT 2000, Bluetooth, DTH and GPRS. So, our first topic is the UMTS. UMTS is Universal Mobile Telecommunication System. The Universal Mobile Telecommunication System, that is UMTS, is a third generation mobile cellular system for network based on the GSM standards. It is developed and maintained by the 3GPP, that is third generation partnership project. UMTS is a component of the International Telecommunications Union, that is of IMT 2000. Set and compare with the CDMA 2000 standard set for network based on the competing CDMA1 technology. The technology described in UMTS is sometimes also referred to as a freedom of mobile multimedia access, that is the FOMA or 3GSM. Unlike Edge, that is IMT single carrier based on GSM, and CDMA 2000 of IMT multi-carrier. UMTS require new base stations and new frequency allocations. This is the background or the introductory part of UMTS. Now we will see the architecture of UMTS. In this figure, it shows the architecture of UMTS, which is divided into three sections. First one is UE, that is user equipment. Second one is the UTRAN, that is UMTS, Universal Terrestrial Radio Access. And third one is CN, that is core network. The functions of RNS include radio channel chiffering and differing, handover control, radio resource management, etc. The UTRAN is connected to the user equipment of, that is UE, via radio interface, which is comparable to the interface in GSM, via LU interface, which is similar to A interface in GSM. UTRAN communicates with the core network, that is CN. The UTRAN perform some functions, that will be the admission control and congestion control, system information broadcasting, radio channel encryption, handover and SRNS moving, radio network configuration, channel quality measurement, etc. etc. Now next one is the UMTS domains and its interfaces. Figure shows that the UMTS domain and interfaces. UMTS further subdivided the above simplified architecture into so-called domains as shown in the figure. The user equipment domain is assigned to a single user and comprises all the functions that are needed to access the UMTS services within the domains. That will be the USIM domain and mobile equipment domain. The USIM domain contains the SIM or UMTS, which perform functions for encryption and authentication of users and stores all necessary user related data for UMTS. Typically, this USIM belongs to a service provider and contains a microprocessor for a enhanced program execution environment, that is USAT, UMTS, SIM application toolkit, etc. The end device itself in the mobile equipment domain, all functions for the radio transmission as well as user interfaces are located. So the first one is the user equipment domain. So what is user equipment domain? It is assigned to a single user in order to access UMTS services. Universal Subscriber Identity Module, that is USIM, functions for encryption and authentication of users. Also, which is located on a SIM inserted into a mobile device. Mobile equipment domain is used for the functions for radio transmission. Also, user interface for establishing and maintaining end-to-end connections. Now, next one is the infrastructure domain. Infrastructure domain shared among all users and offers UMTS services to all accepted users, which is access network domain used for the access network dependent functions. In core network domain, which is used for the access network independent functions with serving network domain and home network domain. Next one is the IMT 2000. IMT 2000 is a International Mobile Telecommunication 2000, that is IMT 2000, is a global standard for third generation, that is 3G, in wireless communications. It is defined by the set of interdependent ITU recommendations. It is the term used by International Telecommunication Union, that is ITU, for a set of globally harmonized standards for 3G mobile telecom services and equipments. IMT 2000 provide simultaneous transfer of speech, data, text, picture, audio, video, etc. etc. It is also high-speed mobile access to internet and entertainment on demand, that is movies, music, etc. Also provide video conferencing, mobile commerce, travel information with road, flight, train, etc. Also there are features that of IMT 2000: high degree of commonality of design worldwide, again compatibility of services within IMT 2000 and with the fixed networks, worldwide roaming capability, full motion video phone, terrestrial and satellite components. Now next one is the architecture of IMT 2000. In this figure, it shows that the architecture of IMT 2000, which consists of IMTDS, IMTMC, IMTTC, IMTSC and IMTFT, which is connected to IMT 2000 terrestrial, that is radio interfaces, and the technologies used in this architecture is CDMA, TDMA and FDMA. Now we will see one by one. It gives an overview of IMT 2000 family. The ITU has a finally standardized and narrowed down the 3G technology. First block is the IMTDS. The direct speed technology comprises wideband, that is CDMA, WCDMA systems. This is the technology specified for UTRA FDD and used by all European providers and the Japanese entity Docomo for 3G wide area services. To avoid complete confusion, ITU's name for the technology is IMTDS. ETSI called UTRA FDD in the UMTS context, and technology used is called WCDMA in Japan. This is promoted for FOMA, freedom of mobile multimedia access. We know that. Today, standardization of this technology takes place in 3GPP, that is Third Generation Partnership Project 2002. A. So the next block is the IMT-MC. CDMA 2000 is a multi-carrier technology standardized by 3GPP2, which was formed shortly after 3GPP to represent the second mainstream in 3G technology. Version CDMA 2000 EVDO has been accepted as the 3G standards. Again, next one is the IMTTC. Initially, this family member called time code contained only the UTRA TDD system, which uses time division CDMA, that is TD CDMA. Chinese proposal, that is TD synchronous, was added, that is TD SCDMA. Both standards have been combined and 3GPP fosters the development of this technology. It is unclear when and to what extent this technology will be introduced. The initial UMTS installations are based on the WCDMA. So next one is the IMT-SC. In IMT-SC, the enhancement of the US TDMA systems, the UWC 136, is a single carrier technology originally promoted by the Universal Wireless Communication Consortium, that is UWCC. It is now integrated into the 3GPP efforts. This technology applies edge, among others, to enhance the 2GIS 136 standard. Last one is the IMT-FT. As frequency time technology, an enhanced version of the cordless telephone standard, that is DECT, has also been selected for the applications that do not require high mobility. ETSI is responsible for the standardization of DECT. So the next topic is the simple Bluetooth. What is Bluetooth? Bluetooth is a wireless technology for exchanging data over short distances from fixed mobile devices and building personal area networks, that is PANs. Also, Bluetooth is mainly for short range communications. Example, from laptop to a nearby printer or from a cell phone to a wireless handset. Its normal range of operation is 10 meter at 1 megawatt transmit power, and this range can be increased to 100 meter by increasing the transmit power to 100 milliwatt. So the figure of the Bluetooth Piconet is as shown. In this figure, all the users within one Piconet have the same hopping sequence and share the same, that is 1 megahertz channel. As more users join the Piconet, the throughput per user drops quickly. A single Piconet offers less than 1 megabit per second, that is of gross data rate. Only having one Piconet available within the 80 megahertz in total is not very efficient. This led to an idea for performing groups of Piconets called scatternet. Only those units that really must exchange data share the same Piconet, so that many Piconets with overlapping coverage can exist simultaneously. In this example, the scatternet consists of two Piconets, in which one device participates in two different Piconets. Both Piconets use a different hopping sequence, always determined by the master of the Piconet. Bluetooth applies FHCDMA for separation of Piconets. In an average sense, all Piconets can share the total 80-100 MHz bandwidth. Adding more piconets leads to a graceful performance degradation of a single piconet because more and more collisions may occur. If a device want to participate in more than one piconet, it has to synchronize to the hopping sequence of the piconet which is wants to take part in this. If a device acts as a slave in one piconet, it simply starts to synchronize with the hopping sequence of the piconet it wants to join. Now we will see the frequency hopping spectrum in Bluetooth. Figure shows that the FHSS diagram of Bluetooth. It is comprises of a baseband processor, a radio and an antenna. The baseband processor converts the data into signals, and the antenna of another Bluetooth device within at least 30 feet distance receives a transmitted signal in the air. It uses frequency hopping spectrum technique, that is FHSS, which is one of two basic modulation techniques used in spread spectrum signal transmission. Frequencies are switched repeatedly during radio transmission to help reduce unlawful access or other means of telecommunications to cross paths and cause interruption. There are some important features with FHSS, that is Bluetooth operates on 79 channels in the 2.4 GHz license free ISM band with 1 MHz carrier spacing. Each device performs frequency hopping with 1600 hops per second in a pseudo-random fashion. Resilient to interface, it having low cost and light-weighted and small form factor. Its mobility is also very important as it doesn't need any power outlet or internet connection or any other items. Power efficiency, available worldwide and easy to use, reliable and resilient to failure. Next topic is the DTH. DTH means what? Direct to home. So what is DTH? Television is one of the most important resource of entertainment and education. The television sector in India mainly comprises of cable television services. DTH means direct to home services, internet protocol televisions, that is IPTV services, free to air DTH services and terrestrial TV services provided by Doordarshan 1, that is DD networks. DTH service is a satellite based broadcast service which entails distribution of multi-channel television programs in KU band 2 by using the satellite system. DTH is defined as the reception of satellite programs with a personal dish in an individual home. DTH does not away with the need for the local cable operator and puts the broadcaster directly in touch with the consumer. This technology is originally referred to as direct broadcast satellites, that is DBS technology. The technology was developed for competing with the local cable TV distribution services by providing higher quality satellite signals with more number of channels. Now we will see how DTH works. Figure shows that the architectural diagram of the DTH, which consists of multiplex, video encoder, data encoder, content stream in the form of video, audio and data, which is connected to a satellite by wireless. In DTH service, a large number of television channels are digitally compressed, encrypted and beamed from satellite. The working of various stages of DTH service system is pictorially described. There are four major technical stages involved in the working of DTH. That will be the content acquisition, compression or encoding, modulation and uplink to DTH satellite and reception of signals at the user's end. Now we will see these terms one by one. First term is the content acquisition. In this, the basic function of the DTH head end is to aggregate content into a format suitable for broadcasting directly to the homes of customers who have signed up and are authorized to receive the service. Once the correct format, the content is aggregated using multiplexers, there is one multiplexer corresponding to each satellite transponder. The content is aggregated to a data rate fully utilizing the transponder bandwidth and power. Now next one is the compression or encoding. The content of the television channels are first acquired and then compressed using series of compression equipments. Video encoding provides a method of efficiently comprising the content. Now next one is the modulation and uplink to DTH satellite. The compressed radio frequency, that is RF signals, are modulated, frequency converted, amplified and uplinked to the DTH satellite. Modulation is used to transfer the information of the digital content onto a signal suitable for transmission via satellite. Now, last stage is the reception of signal at the user's end. The content after modulation is transmitted from the DTH head end to the satellite for downlinking to the customers. DTH satellites broadcast the RF signals to the small TV dish antenna that is fixed at user's end. To view the content, a customer requires a TVRO, that is television receiver only antenna. A LNB is the low noise block down converter and an authorized STB, that is set top box. Now the last topic of this chapter is the GPRS. So what is GPRS? GPRS is a General Packet Radio Service. This is a packet-based communication service for mobile devices which allows data to be sent and received across a mobile telephone network. GPRS is a step towards 3G and is often referred to as a 2.5G. Here are some benefits of GPRS is the speed, which is always on connectivity. There are new and better applications and which is GSM operator cost. Also GPRS provide services like SMS messaging and broadcasting, always on internet access, MMS, POC, that is push to talk over cellular, instant messaging and presence, internet applications for small devices through wireless application protocols, that is WAP, P2P, point-to-point service, security services, etc. Now the architecture of GPRS. As mentioned, GPRS is not a completely separate network to GSM. Many of the devices such as base transceiver stations and base transceiver station controllers are still used. Often devices need to be upgraded, be it software, hardware or both. When deploying GPRS, many of the software changes can be made remotely. There are, however, two new functional elements which play a major role in how GPRS works. So, the GPRS architecture consists of various elements such as GSN, that is GPRS support codes, SGSN Serving GPRS Support Node, GGSN Gateway GPRS Support Node, PDN that is Packet Data Networks, GR is the GPRS Register, HLR Home Location Register, VLR that is Visitor Location Register, MSC Mobile Switching Center, and MS is the Mobile Station. So we will see how the GPRS work with using these elements. There are, however, two new functional elements which play a major role in how GPRS works. The Serving GPRS Support Node that is SGSN and the Gateway GPRS Support Node that is GGSN. Before explaining what these two new members of our network do, it is important to understand how does the network differentiate between GSM circuit and GPRS packet. In terms, there are a practice two different networks working in parallel, that is GSM and GPRS. In any GSM network, there will be a several BSCs, base station controllers. When implementing GPRS software and hardware, upgrade of this unit is required. The hardware differentiates data destined for the standard GSM network or circuit switch data and data separate entity. From the upgraded BSC, there is a fast frame relay connection that connects directly to the newly introduced SGSN. Now we will see GSN and GGSN. The GPRS support nodes that is GSN are in fact routers. All GSNs are integrated into the standard GSM architecture and many new interfaces have been defined. The Gateway GPRS support node that is GGSN in the interworking unit between GPRS network and external packet data networks that is PDN. It also confirms user details with radius serves for security, which is usually situated in the IP network or outside the GPRS network. Now, SGSN means what? The other element of the serving GPRS support node that is SGSN, which supports the MS via GB interface. It takes care of some important tasks like including routing, handover and IP address assignments. The SGSN request user address from the GPRS register that is GR keeps track of the individual MSs, is responsible for collecting billing information like counting bytes and performs several security functions such as access control. Thank you.